Let's go to Lori, who's on the line in Camp Point, Illinois. Lori, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello, how are you?
I am living the dream, Lori. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. How can I help?
Well, I'm having some doubts within my career. I'm in education, and about 5 years ago, I was really having some burnout. And so I got my educational leadership degree, and then I did a little bit of principaling, but then I went back, and now I'm teaching again. And I'm going back into the same position that I was before when I had burnout. And I know I really have passion for kids and for education. And, through, your show and things, it's just brought me back to that. But now I'm really nervous that when I get back there, I'm going to be in the same position that I was 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and I want to set your mind free. Number one, you weren't burned out then, and you're not going to burn out now. Let me tell you what I mean. You were experiencing buildup. Burnout means you have zero passion. You do have passion for educating young people, yes or no?
I do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But you were dealing with buildup. And let me tell you the 5 causes of buildup, and you tell me which one it hits you. It might be multiple. Number one, no passion connection for the job. That's not the case. You do have passion for young people. Number 2, toxic leadership or toxic coworkers. Number 3, you're absolutely overwhelmed. You feel like you're trying to not drown every day because of some aspects of the job. I hear this a lot from teachers. Paperwork, unnecessary garbage that the school system and the federal government makes you do. Am I starting to hit a nerve?
Yes, definitely.
Just for the rest of the audience, I'll give you the final 2. Okay? If you're not overwhelmed on some way, then you are feeling underappreciated. You're not being rewarded. You're not being recognized. And then the 5th one is you're just bored out of your mind. It's not challenging. I'm going to guess that number 3 was your biggest issue, but you tell us.
Yeah, I think number 3 was my biggest issue. I also think that, feeling unappreciated, was part of it too.
It's absolutely part of it. So what was the part about teaching that absolutely drained your soul?
I don't know. I think it was just...
Yes, you do.
I think it was a combination of, my son was graduating from high school.
Okay.
And I think there was some things there too that kind of mixed up, and it just got all, I don't know.
Yeah, but you said you were overwhelmed. So tell me the parts of the gig that overwhelmed you. Just name it real quick. Don't overthink this.
Okay. Just standardized testing. Just behaviors of students.
Right. Yeah.
I've done this for 22 years, and the behaviors that they were having are normal for that age. But when you've had it so many times,
That's right.
It just becomes overwhelming.
Okay, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally do. I've heard this from teachers so many times on this show. I get fired up about it. I've done rants about this. So there's 2 things I want to tell you to consider. Number 1, maybe you need to be teaching in a different environment because you love instructing. But if you only go back to that same environment in the public school where you're limited on what you can do about behavior, come on, can I get an amen? Okay.
Right, yeah.
You're limited in what you can do. And then you can't do anything about the standardized testing. So you now are teaching and driving these kids to score on standardized testing instead of teaching them the way you would teach them to help them move on. I already know all this.
Definitely.
Of course. I've heard this 800 times. It's actual personal passion of mine to help as many teachers as possible get in the right place. So I think you're doing the right thing in the wrong place. So my advice would be, since you can't change those 2 things, and those were the 2 things that caused you the greatest grief and feeling overwhelmed and feeling the buildup as a result of that, don't go back there. Go somewhere else. So for instance, you are a teacher. I'm a performer. Like if you go to the source of who I am a performer. Not in the sense of a circus performer or an actor, but I'm a performer. That's what I do. I'm on a mic, I'm on television, I'm a performer. Now, You are a teacher. You are an instructor. If we go even further deeper, you are an instructor.
Right.
Well, you can instruct and teach in so many formats. You could teach on the college level, community college level. You could become a corporate trainer where you're training adults. People actually want to be there. Maybe you could teach in some type of vocational school, again, where the students are there because they desperately want to be there. They want to listen to you. So I think you have to open up your options and go, I may have to actually get some further qualification. I may have to put myself out into a new space and get a little uncomfortable, but is it worth it, Lori, to get up every day and do the one thing you really love, and that's teach others to help them?
Right. It is.
Then look at all your options. Maybe you go to a private school where discipline is handled. And standardized testing doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, excuse me, it's not even a part of the equation. Maybe a charter school. I don't know. You know your world better than I do. My point is, start looking for other ways to do what you really love and stop limiting yourself to the same old thing that you've always known and always done. If you do that, Lori, you're going to be on fire.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling. I'm going to stay here for a moment because this is really important. We just heard Lori. And I think Lori has opened up many of you people's perspective right now because you're in maybe a completely different sector, profession, but you know what you love to do, but you're limiting yourself to the same environment that you've always known. This is a classic case. And by the way, most teachers, Joe, I would say 95% of the teachers that have called this show are in that situation. They're doing the right thing in the wrong place. So I'm reteaching this because some of you need to hear this. Some of you are doing the right thing in the wrong place. Let me explain. The work you're doing is in your sweet spot. You are really good at it, and you do enjoy it. If I were to strip away the negative culture, negative leadership, poor leadership, negative teammates, crazy hours, it's just too much right now. Whatever it is. I gave you those 5 reasons for buildup. Folks, that is gospel truth I just gave you. You either have no connection to the work, you're dealing with a toxic culture, leadership or teammates, you are completely overwhelmed to where every day you feel like you're just trying to stay alive. The water just keeps coming up right underneath the chin. You're just trying not to drown. The other thing is you feel underappreciated, and you are underappreciated. You haven't been given any recognition or reward for your work. And then you're bored. It's just so challenging your work. Okay, so for those of you who love the work, like our friend Lori, you're doing the right thing in the wrong place, but don't say, well, I can't go anywhere else. This is all I've ever done. Wait a second. Who are you? What are you? She is a teacher, an instructor at heart. Are you telling me that the elementary school classroom is the only place where Lori can teach and instruct? No. Who are you? What core function do you love to do? What are all the different ways you can do that? Where are all the places that you can do that? That's the question that you need to be asking.